So what we're going to be doing in this video is setting it up so whenever we purchase the box, as you can see, the message disappears. And at this point, I want to have it so it says press F to, I don't know, a grab or swap weapon, whatever we want it to say. So that way we can set up the functionality to actually grab the weapon itself. So if we come over here to the mysterybox.cpp, press use weapon, let me find it. All right, we press use. Toggles replicated boolean. Again, this is all done on the server and fires a multicast event. That multicast triggers a couple different timers, some for raising, some for cycling weapon, and so on. But the main one is able to grab weapon that fires after 4 seconds. So that'll be when the weapon is at the top. So here's the function. Goes through, it just clears the timers and slowly, well, sets up a timer that pretty much lowers the weapon back down. And then after 11 seconds, it will terminate. Well, it's pretty much when the box or the weapon is back in the box and no longer accessible for the player to grab. So pretty much when this gets called, we want it to make it so the player can grab the weapon. And then whenever this gets called, box interaction finished, we want him to no longer be able to grab it. So what we're going to be doing here, let's see. We call use, we pass in the player. So we have we can do a comparison here. So I'm going to go to mysterybox.h, set up a pointer to a Nazi zombie character. So class a Nazi zombie character. Call it using player. And by default, I'm just going to set as a null pointer constructor. And go back down to the use function. So here what I want to do is I want to set it so using player equals player. That way we have a reference to it. We want to also do a check. So this is the function that's going to get called when we try to use it again. So we have this b can use box, which is just a replicated boolean. And whenever we purchase the box, this gets set to false on the server. It's replicated, so it's going to trickle down. So this is not going to fire when the box is in use, only when it's finished. So if this fails, we want it to run something else. So we can really just do an else if here. So else if, we want to make sure we have authority. We want to make sure player is valid. And we want to make sure using player is valid. Then we want to check if player equals using player. So ublog, log temp, warning text, testing should only be seen when using player is set. Then what we want to do is we want to take using player and in the function box interaction finished, using player equals a null pointer. This is going to get set on the server, so it doesn't really matter. It's also going to get set on the clients. There's no point in doing, well, actually, if it has authority, we'll just do it in there. Let me move it up like so. Cancel the build and recompile. That way, this can get reset. And hopefully, after the box has been used, well, finished, this will now be able to run again. Well, should be able to anyways. What I mean is, my brain kind of went off wire there. Anyways, let's just see where we're at. Alrighty. So we press F. and we press F again. Testing should only be seen when using player is set, and that's working. So now let's bring up two clients. When I have the client purchase it, he spams F, testing should only be seen, yada yada yada, server does it, and it does not work. So that is working correctly. So that means, what in the world? Only the player who actually purchased the box will be able to grab the weapon. So this here is working. So we want to figure out a time frame to kind of enable this. So mysterybox.h, we may have a boolean for this. We have can use box. No. We'll just use a control boolean. So bool b can grab weapon. By default, this will be false. So let's go to the constructor. Then we press use, the box gets purchased, the timer starts, it calls able to grab weapon. Here, what I want to happen is b can grab weapon equals true. Actually, I'm gonna do this on server, so if it's authority, there's no need for the clients to really any of that. And box interaction finished, we want it to not be able to grab the weapon. So if has authority, yada yada yada, can grab weapon equals false. So it should only be firing through a certain time span. So what I want this to do is I want it to pretty much just call a separate function. Well, not necessarily, but let's see. Here we have get UI message. If we can use the box, it returns the UI message. If we cannot use the box, it returns a normal F string. So I'm going to do an else. Actually, if can use box, I'm going to remove the else. It's not really necessary anyways. If b can grab weapon. Well, that's actually going to be a slight problem. Cannot do that boolean because it's only going to be running on the server. This is going to run on clients. So we're going to do if player and using player and player equals using player. What we're going to do is return a separate, message. So f string, press F to grab weapon. And that'll be what we return there. Ever control boolean. Can't grab weapon, so that's what we're going to be using as our little time portion of it. As authority and B can grab weapon. So that way it's only going to do two comparisons. So when we press use on the box after we purchase it, so for example, press F, it's purchased during this portion. You see how that log gets printed? Well, remember there was a log printing out right here that said this. We do not need these conditions to run. That's not really going to do much. So what we want to do is we want what's in here to only run when one, we're the server, two, we can grab the weapon. So if we can do all that, then we want to do the comparison. So we check the player and make sure, that player that's trying to use it is the using player. So if this fails, these conditions are not going to even be checked. There's no point. It would just be wasting performance there. It's very, very, very minimal, but you know. So now let's see. We want to set up a function. I want to do protected. I want to do void grab weapon. Create the implementation. Drag it right above use. So let's see. I'm gonna just call it so grab weapon. And I actually, well, no, we'll be using player for this. And here I want to do if player just to confirm that it's still, nothing bad's happened, still valid. We want to add, well, give the player the weapon. So let's look at our, it might be in the, I think it's in the character base. So character base.cpp. Actually, better yet, let's look at wall weapon. So wall weapon.cpp. Player purchases it. I'll use, yada, yada, yada. There's that. Player, give player weapon, and we pass in, is it a pointer? Okay, it's a pointer to the weapon. It's not the weapon class. So that's pretty simple. So we're gonna, in mysterybox.cpp, we're gonna do using player, give player weapon, and then takes the pointer to the weapon. So in our case, it's going to be selected weapon. So I'm going to do if using player, make sure that's valid, and selected weapon is valid. We're going to give player weapon. The weapon we're going to give them is the selected weapon. So let's go ahead and do a compile and just, make sure that all works. Hopefully it does. Alrighty, relaunch the editor. Alrighty, let's give it a try. So, press F to grab weapon, fires immediately. I press F. Obviously need to do some fixing there. Because it's still partially in the box. But it is giving us the weapon technically. So we need to do a couple things, such as whenever we purchase it, we need to do things like stop setting the location, that kind of stuff. So we're gonna have another probably a multicast. I don't know if I want to switch this up to use an on rep or not. I think I might just stick with multicast for now. So whenever we grab the weapon, it actually, one, closes the box, two, goes through it, hides all weapons again. So, we got to call our weapons, make sure they're all reset to the correct position, the starting position, and that sort of thing. So let's see, I'm trying to think real quick. So I want to fix one thing real quick. So then get UI message. If this is here, what I want to also have, be there is I want to set the can grab weapon to replicate. So I want to set this as a condition right here. So, make sure the player's matching and lining up. Then we'll do and B can grab weapon. Then we go up to our get lifetime replicated props right here. Copy and paste. We're going to have B can grab weapon. So we're going to make sure that's replicating. And now compile, and that should fix the little bug where we press F and it immediately says press F to grab weapon. Because it should be hidden on other clients though. So it should just be blank. Press F. It not working quite as intended. Yeah, intended. So there's obviously going to be some bugs that have to be fixed. Yep, and there's a crash. I wonder if that's due to just compiling and trying to do hot reload. But we're getting there. So I'm going to just make sure the message prints out as intended on the server, and then we're going to end this one and continue it up in the following videos. Oh, I forgot to set it as replicated. So mysterybox.h, property, replicated. So bcan grab weapon is now replicated. Duh. Wait for it to finish loading. Just gonna test as the server. Press F. All right, message is hidden. Right, so we have to refresh it. That's one thing I forgot. So whenever able to grab weapon fires, we want to go through and refresh the owning or the using player. So inside of here, what we're gonna do is if let's see, not using player. That won't necessarily work very well because it's only known on the server. We're gonna do just copy and paste this guy here where we get the first player and refresh it. So once able to grab weapon fires, it'll refresh their Doomajigger, the widget. So that way, you press it, can't see anything. Dang it, they want to look away and look back. Now it says press F. That's what we're fixing. Alrighty. Check it, press F, and press F to grab weapon. And then hopefully it should disappear once it's finished, going down, which it does. So purchase it again, good to go. So I want to just increase the height of the collision. That's pretty low. And then I'm just going to stop the video. So let's go blueprints, game, notes. Here's the mystery box, our collision mesh. Set it to visible. See if that's any better. I'm happy with that. So now we're just going to hide it again. I'll save and look at it. So now you don't have to be looking down so far. So obviously there are some issues, but it at least is somewhat working. So we can now, one, we have the UI message to be able to grab the weapon, at least on the server. So we're going to continue working through that, make it so we can grab the weapon correctly, at least on the server end in the next video. And then we will try to make sure everything works on the client side as well. Because as you can tell, some things are not replicating properly. So here I'm playing as a client, press F. As you can see, it's a little laggy. Get the option to press F again, but I do. Same thing kind of happens. So as you can assume, there's some issues. And the issue with the thing not getting displayed is get UI message where we compare using player. The client doesn't know what using player is. It's just a null pointer. So we have to set that up in some sort of way to uh, allow the client to know, okay, what client's using it. So we might end up just replicating using player as well. It's not something that's going to get replicated often, and it's going to be in a pretty much a game mode that has a very low player count, so it's not really a concern. It's not going to be hogging a lot of, taking up a lot of bandwidth. It's not getting replicated often. Few player counts, it doesn't matter. So we'll probably end up doing that. So that'll fix that issue as well. So anyways, yeah, if you want to support me, you like what I'm doing, there is a link to my Patreon in the description. And if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to join my Discord server and ask away. So I will see you in the next one.